Hello. Thank you so much for joining with me today. I just see the most beautiful things when I pull the cards. Um, we're starting off today with a series of uh, beliefs finally being deconstructed in a much more tangible way so that we're able to recognize the patterns and the cycles that have brought us to this point and value them for what they've brought us to. One of my favorite lines in a song is, "Every single breath that I've taken has created me." Every single moment that I have chosen to accept the path that I'm on, every experience that I've had has shaped me in some way. And by allowing and accepting and appreciating and having gratitude for these moments, I've been able to evolve into a person that I'm proud to look in the mirror and face. And that's what I believe the tarot and oracle guidance is for. It's a tool to help us recognize ourselves through the layers that we put on ourselves to protect ourselves, the scars um, from our fears. The cards help us uncover these raw, authentic parts of the self. And through our difficulties, we have become rather adept at balancing the ups and downs. It's no longer a much of a fight or a battle on a day-to-day basis. Instead, we have this recognition that in every beautiful thing, there's going to be something ugly, and in every ugly thing, there's going to be something beautiful, and that's just the balance of life. Through these ups and downs, we find not only are we finding it easier to maintain stability, but we're finding that this is the strengthening that we thought we were being broken down. We thought that we were being weakened, and over time, it's provided us with a level of resilience that isn't something that can be bestowed upon us at birth. It requires this flow of all things wonderful and all things that are difficult and both positive and negative in our life, the give and the take. There's nothing to existence that is constant without change, and that change, that flow from the positive to the negative and back and forth, has helped us realize that all of these experiences have shaped us and have strengthened us and have given us a sense of understanding of the universe in a deeper way, but also taught us to embrace those challenges and embark upon them as a new phase in the journey. So, this reading, we begin with acknowledging the parts of our lives that were somewhat ugly in some ways and have turned into some beautiful part of ourselves because we, the alchemist, have chosen to take these things and create the strengths that we hold now. In a lot of ways, the wounds that you've endured from the very beginning had become layers of scars, had become layers of armor and protection to keep you from hurting yourself, keep you from hurting others. And over time, you've started to recognize that these individual layers were actually keeping you from embracing yourself, who you truly are. We feel exposed. We feel too vulnerable when we completely allow ourselves to be who we are, but it's through these challenges and difficulties that we've also recognized that we had been hiding the best parts of ourselves. The things that we thought were ugly were the most beautiful to other people. It's painfully obvious at times that there are dreams and goals that we had abandoned because we did not feel worthy of them, that we felt as though the universe was trying to detract us, or deter us. These protective barriers had felt as though they were keeping us from becoming our true selves, from keeping us from accomplishing our goals. But it's now just our insecurities, this idea that we're not strong enough, that we haven't already endured enough, that we're not capable. And really, we've just kind of become our own block. We've shut our own ideas down because we've just decided that they weren't evolved enough then, so they must not be now. But Spirit is asking you to reconsider. Spirit is asking you to look upon your life and your experiences and value and cherish all of those breaths that were taken in spite of the pain, in spite of feeling buried beneath your armor, in spite of being completely wrapped in scars. These elements of who we are have allowed us to add a flavor, add a seasoning to life so that we can share our wisdom and experiences with others in really profound ways. This is a new opportunity for you to look at the things that you've experienced, the suffering that you've experienced, and recognize that it has been in many ways a gift. It's something that we can share with others, that we can help inspire others to pursue their own healing, to continue on in spite of all things as you have. It is through our sharing and being vulnerable and allowing others to see us for who we truly are that we do the greatest good. And it's in these very small, impactful ways that we didn't really recognize before. And now we're starting to really understand that there's been great value in what we've endured. And that value is not only ours, but when we share it, we empower others to do the same. So let us begin this journey in a new way. Let us begin this next phase where we start to embrace all aspects, all of the experiences, all of the ups and the downs, the things that have made us so resilient and so enduring and so strong, things that have tempered our lives to make us unbreakable. Let us look upon ourselves as unstoppable creators, as lovers without limitations, as poets in the world of experiences that we have to offer. Take that forward with you and embrace that aspect of self. Don't allow that to prohibit you from being all that you really are. We have openness, our clairvoyance, and wings of light. I feel very strongly that some of us are just now becoming aware of our own intuition and our own gifts. Um, it, these are innate abilities. These are not abilities that are only afforded to some people. The difference is what we do with our experiences. And while there are some who may never in this life fully embrace that aspect of self, or may never fully accept those innate gifts, there are a great many of us that are starting to recognize now there's a great awakening occurring for those who may not have necessarily been awakened before, but now starting to recognize that I do feel like I could even maybe just use the cards for myself. Maybe there is something there for me. Maybe it's not silly to think that I had a dream about something. It's not silly to have an experience and go, did I have that before? Did I say that before? Was that said to me before? It's not unheard of for individuals to, after many, many years of experience and being atheist, or having been religious and then becoming atheist, that to then wake up to their spirituality. Um, it is often said of philosophers that it starts with a quest for meaning, which leads to a period of believing that there is no meaning. And during that period of believing that there is no meaning, when we start to really see that there is meaning in everything. So, a great many philosophers start off as religious or spiritual in one way, become atheists for a period, and then find themselves back in a spiritual place. So, for some of you, this is not your first time believing in higher things, but there was a period of time that it just didn't make sense to you. So, we're now being embraced in this journey. We're now being asked to just be open, be willing to have that curiosity about what's happening and what we feel and what we think about things, rather than shutting them down as we may have been taught to do, rather than laughing them off and thinking that they're silly, rather than uh, completely ignoring. We're now starting to want to take a little bit of stock in these things or make a note of these things and come back to it. We start to see things play out in front of us and become examples. We start to see little signs and synchronicities that will line up throughout the entire day. Just to reiterate, just to solidify what it is that you felt when you woke up that morning. Just little confirmations and little reminders that we're on the path. Starting to recognize that maybe there is a path. Maybe I am feeling called to do something specific, and maybe I always have been. But now all of these experiences have brought me to a place where it not only makes sense, but I actually feel capable of doing these things. I did not feel capable of doing these things before. They didn't feel authentic and genuine in the way that they do now. And so all of these little pieces are starting to uh, it's like little tiny gifts being unwrapped. And as you unwrap each gift, you start to recognize that they're all pieces from a much larger gift. And there's an excitement in seeing what's the next piece that I'm going to uncover. That's what these cards are about. These cards are about the excitement and the wonder and the curiosity of what's next. What's the next piece that I'm going to uncover? What adventures lie beyond here for me? Remaining open in our minds and our hearts is the next part of this journey, and really truly welcoming the gifts from the universe, welcoming these experiences that enhance our lives in ways that we didn't really understand before, how these experiences compound upon each other and have brought us from a place where we were just starting to recognize that light to where we are able to fully embrace and own it. I pulled these three from the archetype deck. And the significance between these three, while they come from drastically different sections, they all are a unique step from one to the other. It first becomes a recognition of our necessity here, of these experiences. People have come to rely upon us. They have come to recognize us for being stable and grounded and consistent in their lives. We have not that without boundaries, but having an unconditional kind of a love and consistency about you because of your experiences, because of what you've gone through. You have a lot more patience with others. You have more understanding and compassion for others than you have before. And what others may have really embraced about you is that you have found a way to overcome difficulties regardless of what's being thrown at you. They know that you can be consistent and relied on. They know that you're there to maintain when all things are falling apart. You become something very, very stable and grounding for others. Uh, it's easy to feel bitterness and resentfulness about that because there are so many of you who have given so much that you feel as though you've neglected the self. But it's in that giving that you really discovered yourself. You found yourself in what you were giving to others. You started to recognize the true nature of yourself as being this healer and this lover, this fighter, this consistent individual who others can count on in their difficult times. And we evolve, we start to recognize the greater aspects of ourself while there's that consistency that remains within. There is a evolutionary process that occurs as well. There's something consistent and stable and grounding, and yet those rough edges through these experiences were softened. And it's through that softening, through that the grit and the abrasive nature of the universe, that we've started to really appreciate the beauty of ourselves that have endured these things. We started to see that softness as a beautiful thing. And that softness only came from those difficulties. It only came from those tumultuous times. While it remains consistent and you remain this rock of stability for others and for yourself, that core of self being impenetrable, you've also started to find your place in the greater aspects of things. There are pieces of you, there is energy that you have left behind through every experience, through every encounter that you have. So every experience that you've had with other beings has left a fragment of you. Every experience that you've endured, you've left a fragment of you. And in that, we become this fractal being, this tiny piece that is a part of a much greater whole. And we are creating the universe in this way by spreading our energy among others, and they in turn compounding that and reflecting that as well. So our stone, while it has perceivably shrunk in size, uh, has become more pure elements than it has in the past. And what's remaining here is what is the most authentic version of the self. And then we come to the flame. As we exist within ourselves, as we get to the truest nature of self, as we embrace that aspect of self, and as we embrace that aspect of life and everything that has become who we are in our experiences, we start to become very much in tune with that purpose and that greater that greater flame that ignites others. We start to recognize the influence and the impact that we've had. And as we do this, we also start to feel more confident in ourselves. We start to really recognize the power that that flame has. We start to realize that our flame lights the flames of others. that our flame is strong, our flame is protected and in a safe place. It comes from the depths of who we are, and that is not something that can be taken from us. And in a greater sense, our pushing onward and our quest for more and our desire to continue along now that we have this understanding has inspired even more to invite that passion into their own lives. So they've been giving unto others in the way that they saw you. They're sharing their light with others in the way that they learned from you. They've been able to take uh, all the things that have been cast upon them and create fuel, as you have, and you've created this consistently unwavering light with a never-ending source of fuel, and with this have lit the world up for others. You've lit the path for others. They've been able to follow behind, tracing in your steps, finding themselves, finding their own power, finding their own gifts. You have done such good work up until this point, and Spirit just wants you to know that you have created permanent, lasting change in the world in ways that you could not see before, but you're starting to see them now. And this is how Spirit says thank you. Thank you all for the work that you do. Even if you think someone doesn't see it, someone does.